Today's episode of the Terrific Talk podcast is brought to you by HelloFresh. It's summertime. I'm sitting at home. I'm thinking, what am I going to do for dinner? I don't really want to go out and spend money. I don't want to get something unhealthy. I'm trying to get that beach body. Luckily, my good friends with HelloFresh took care of me. Each week, HelloFresh creates new delicious recipes with step-by-step instructions designed to take about 30 minutes. It's quick, it's easy, you get the freshest ingredients. HelloFresh is offering light spring meals. They just introduced breakfast options. You get all this for an amazing value, less than $10 a meal. It's a great deal, and I got a special deal for you today. If you want $30 off your first week of HelloFresh, just go to HelloFresh.com and enter the promo code TerricTom30. Again, $30 off your first week of HelloFresh. Go to HelloFresh.com, enter the promo code TerricTom30. Okay, we've got a great podcast for you today. One of my favorite guests, NBA TV's Leigh Ellis. Here we go. Welcome to Terrific Talk. Beautiful sunny day here from the Hoboken Studios in New Jersey. Thanks for checking out the podcast, whether you're listening on iTunes or straight off the free CLNS Media app. Great to be with you today. I've got an awesome guest, one of my favorite guests in Terrific Talk history. He, of course, is the great Leigh Ellis of The Starters on NBA TV, one of my favorite shows. Let me bring him in here. Leigh Ellis, welcome back to Terrific Talk.
Thanks for having me, Tommy. Appreciate it.
So since we last talked on the podcast, you guys on The Starters have kind of changed your roles up a little bit the last couple of years. You're a little bit more versatile now. You and Trey started going out to actual games and have been reporting. During the finals, you were there reporting in games 3, 4, and 5. You got to interview the commissioner. I saw you interviewing Shaun Livingston, asking him about his strengths as an NBA player, changing babies' diapers. They were fun interviews. Can you tell me a little bit about what it's been like going on the road for you and reporting? What's that experience been like for you?
Each year we go, we obviously try to make it a little bigger and a little better than the year before, and we do that by trying to interview, guests as much as possible and try to give our fans and our viewers a little bit of a sort of behind-the-scenes look of what goes on at the finals. I mean, we don't sort of get into the scrums too much of the sort of day-to-day in and out of the game, but a little bit more of this stuff that you don't necessarily see on other shows and on other networks. And so part of that is, you try to find a guy who might have a little bit of a different story and talk to him about his journey through the NBA, through his career, and even just through the season to get to the finals. And then there's just so many other people associated with the league, whether it's former players and legends, or obviously the commissioner himself. And I knew obviously that he was going to be there, and so I just put in a request with our PR team. I said, wouldn't it be great to get the big boss on our show?
Yeah.
And our PR team said, we can ask. It's a bit of a tough get because he's obviously in demand, and there's a lot of networks, and not just American networks, there's international media who all want to sort of have a little bit of time with the commissioner and talk to him. So they put in the request, and it came back, and Adam said he'd be happy to talk to me. So I sort of had to. I didn't really have to scramble. I had an interview idea ready just in case, because it was one of those things that I thought, if he says yes, then it might be a situation where yes, but you have to put in like 5 minutes, so make sure you're ready. So I kind of had prepared this, heading into the final sort of as it started, just in case it did happen. And so I spoke to him, and I was happy with the interview. It was good. I tried to show a little bit of a different side than just the boss in suit. I tried to find a little bit more about Adam Silver, the man, and he's recently become a dad, and he got married not too long ago as well. So, all of us who are married and have kids know how trying to balance your life can be challenging, and for a commissioner, it must be even more so when you basically don't get a break. You don't even get a day off at times. I think it's that hectic. So that was the sort of angle that I tried to create. And then I also managed to speak. You mentioned Shaun Livingston as well. I think everyone who knows the NBA knows Shaun Livingston's journey, how his career was nearly abruptly ended with that awful knee injury.
Right.
And now he's a two-time champ. And you can tell that guy, I feel, really does appreciate every sort of minute he gets on the court and every opportunity he gets to win, because he's played on a ton of teams throughout his career. A lot of those teams, got nowhere near the playoffs, and now he can say that he's on, not just a good team, but one of the best teams of all time. So that was great. And another guy I spoke to was Scottie Pippen. I mean, any NBA fan knows who Scottie Pippen is. And, for me to get an opportunity to talk to him, he was also very, very good, very, accommodating, very humble person. It was a great thrill. So, when you are out on the road, like I say, we try to bring a different angle to the show, and hopefully our viewers and people who follow us, enjoy the sort of extra content that we provide that is somewhat different to what they normally see. And Trey had a really fun interview with Guy Fieri too out there in Oakland, which was fun. Guy was on our show in New Orleans for the All-Star weekend, and Trey got in touch with him again, knowing he's a big Warriors fan. And, those things are really enjoyable for us to do on the road, and then they're even more enjoyable when we can share them on our TV show and on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and everywhere else.
Totally. You were in the Warriors locker room right after they won the finals. What was that scene like? What was it like to be a part of that?
It's a tough question to answer because it was a fun experience, but it was also kind of crazy, hectic, not so enjoyable experience at the same time, because they open up the doors and everyone, there's media again, there is media from all over the world sort of all barging in at the same time. So you're squashed in there. You're with a camera crew and an audio guy, so there's three of you and trying to get, sort of post-championship celebration moments with all the star players. But of course, Steph and Clay and Draymond and Kevin Durant, they've got other media that they have to go to, so it's very tough to get those guys. And I managed to get hold of Draymond Green for a couple of minutes, but that was purely through coincidence, not through sort of any sort of cunning plan of mine to sort of go up and get him. He just kind of happened to be walking right past me, so I shoved the mic in his face, and the camera guy was off to the left, and so it certainly wasn't the best TV as far as the watchability of it, but just to be there and see the raw emotions of the guys, especially some of the younger guys. And it's interesting, you got some of the younger guys like Ian Clark, who obviously he couldn't believe what he was doing, celebrating a championship, and then you got guys like Matt Barnes at the end of his career, a guy who started the season with the Kings and in a sort of hopeless situation there, and he ends up a champion. And seeing the contrast of appreciation from those guys was really enjoyable. So it was it's one of those experiences that you really want to have, but when you actually have it, you're like, man, this is a kind of tough environment to try to get anything substantive. I managed to get a couple of quotes from the guys, but it's certainly not the optimum reporting conditions, because you're competing again with so much other media, and the guys are just sort of they're all happy and loose, but they're also sort of a bit scattered around the place. They want to celebrate with their teammates and their friends, and they don't all want to have a camera in their face straight away. So, but great experience, and I hope I get to experience it again at some point. And now that I have one under my belt, I'm going to have a little bit of a different approach next time it happens.
What advice do you have for young broadcasters out there who want to be a part of a show like The Starters?
Our path to where we are isn't conventional by any means. We didn't sort of have this grand plan that we executed step by step. Or there was, Skeets and Tass and JD sort of had this idea for a podcast back in 2006, and they continued to add elements to that. But again, it wasn't as though they had this vision in mind at the time that we're going to be recruited by NBA TV and go there. But what I would say is, any young broadcaster out there, you have the platform to make yourself known and heard and seen. And you can record your own videos, you can record your own podcast, you can blog, you can create your own website, you can tweet and Instagram and Facebook, and do all those things so that you at least have your voice heard. And then it's about building an audience and building a following, which is tough. But I think the key to building an audience and a following is to continually post and write and blog and just provide content so that people sort of see you out there. It doesn't have to be every single day, but it certainly has to be consistent. Like, you can't do it for a couple of days and then not be seen for a week or two, and then come back and post again, and then leave again for a week or two. At the start, it's very important to be consistent, so that when people who are following you, they look at your page each day, or your website, or your Twitter feed, or whatever it is, and they see something new and fresh. And you've just got to keep on trying. You do different things, do new things, and try to find what works for you, because things like power rankings, for example, everyone's doing power rankings, so your power rankings aren't going to stand out. But if you can find a different angle to cover the game, to look at different things that happen, and you can post that consistently, I think that's the best chance you've got of standing out from the crowd. Because right now, I'm sure you know yourself, Tommy, there's a million podcasts out there, whether it's basketball or baseball or hockey or whatever it is, and to separate yourself from the group, is very, very tough, because there's some really good podcasts out there, but there's also a lot of podcasts that people do it once or twice, and then they sort of take a break for a while, and they're not sure if anyone's listening. That motivation is not there, but you've got to you've got to sort of maintain that self-motivation where you're like, I'm just going to keep on doing this and really give yourself a good period of time to get it, up and establish some sort of connection there with an audience. And that's the best advice I can give. I mean, like I say, there's nothing. I can't just say to you, A plus B equals C, and then you'll be on NBA TV or anything like that. It just doesn't work that way. You have to, you have to just keep working hard, and the more you do it, the better you get at it, and the results will speak for themselves.
Quick break to talk about our new sponsor, HelloFresh. HelloFresh is the meal kit delivery service that makes cooking more fun so you can focus on the whole experience, not just the final plate. It's less than $10 a meal, and it's super easy. This week, my wife and I made pineapple pork chops with snap peas and jasmine rice. Another night, we had an amazing steak with a mint chive dressing and veggie succotash. These meals were great. They only took about 30 minutes to make. You guys should all be part of it. Sign up now for $30 off your first week of HelloFresh. Go to HelloFresh.com and enter the promo code TerricTom30, all lowercase. Again, for $30 off your first week of HelloFresh, visit HelloFresh.com and enter the promo code TerricTom30. Recording this podcast just outside of New York City. All my Knicks fan friends are going crazy right now with all these Porzingis rumors. What do you make of the craziness going on here in New York with Porzingis and Phil Jackson?
If Phil Jackson trades Porzingis, then Knicks fans have every right to boycott the season and to just go all in on their loathing of Phil Jackson. I think that would be a disastrous move. I think it's a crazy situation that Phil's brought on himself. I've tried to defend Phil a lot through the craziness with the Melo situation and his time in New York. But if he was to give up on Porzingis already, I mean, that would just be a complete disaster in my opinion. You want to draft a guy like Porzingis. You get him early, you get him young. You can see that he is, I don't want to throw out the Dirk comparison because it's far too early to compare him to a Hall of Fame legend like that. But you can see that Porzingis has the talent at both ends of the floor. He's not finished. He's not a polished product just yet. But he's only 21 or 22, whatever he is. Yeah. He still needs time to develop and to he needs good support around him. He needs stability as far as the coaching staff and the organization. But my God, if he was to trade him for I just think if you're a Knicks fan, you just think what was the point? What's the point of anything if you get talent, you finally make a good draft pick, and then you trade it, hoping that you're going to strike gold in the draft again down the road. I mean, Phil took a risk with Porzingis. A foreign player going to New York City, that's a tough ask for a lot of guys. But he got it right. That's the one of the very few moves that Phil's made that he got right. And now I believe it's a situation where Phil is, whether or not Porzingis just didn't refuse to give an exit interview or whatever. I think Phil's trying to sort of show who's the boss, and this is just a disaster if you're a Knicks fan, because it's about the players. At the end of the day, you need talent, you need quality. They've got that in Porzingis. Again, he may turn out to be, a Dirk Nowitzki, 1.8, but he may not. And but either way, right now, you certainly can't give up on him and think that he's going to fall away. I think you have to think he could be the future of the Knicks franchise and could bring them to the promised land. So. If you were to trade in on him right now, I think you're just setting the franchise back once again to another 2 or 3 seasons of nothing basketball.
Couldn't have said it better. Leigh, you're the best. Thanks for jumping on here. Everybody go check out Leigh on Twitter. His handle is @Leigh Ellis. And, of course, look out for Leigh on NBA TV's The Starters. Those guys, I'm sure, will have a lot to talk about over the next couple weeks. Leigh, thanks again for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Anytime, man.